So we're back with Shippuden. We are at the Sasuke novel adaptations, which is essentially after Shippuden and the last era, which I really wish at this point the Naruto anime was rebranded because it's called Shippuden, but essentially it's already after that. And if we did like, a whole rebranding and stuff like that from Naruto to Naruto Shippuden, you would assume that they would do the same thing or whatever, because like again, in this episode we start off with the time skip, which I'm not gonna lie, I was very excited when we started off and we see, well, it starts off with that whole evil shit, and we'll talk about that in a second, that whole dark stuff. But when we get to see everybody in their the last outfits and shit like that, I think there was a missed opportunity there for them to build it up, kind of like when Naruto returned to the village in Shippuden in the beginning. It was like they could have done a very dramatic thing, like, hey, yeah, some years have passed, some time has passed, some really good stuff there, and they kind of missed out on not doing that. I'm like, oh, that's such a shame, because like this is a unexplored territory in a sense with this time period, because aside from the novels, which a lot of us haven't even got a chance to read them because it's still in Japan, and of course like the last movie, there's not much else known about what went on in these years. So the fact that we're actually getting to see them, it was like, it would have been nice to have a really awesome beginning of like, a couple years have passed, or some time has passed and things have changed or something like that. So I was hoping for that, but then at the same time, you got to think how much time has really passed, because in between Shippuden and the last movie, I think it was maybe like 2 years, 2 years since that fight or whatever, and Sasuke had the head wrap and he looked pretty different. He doesn't have the head wrap yet, so I'm assuming that this is before the last movie, but after, of course, Shippuden, so maybe it wasn't that long. Maybe it was a few months afterward. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. I hope I didn't, but there's definitely a time period. It's just not as big as the jump from Shippuden to the last. Now, we start off the episode with, I'm going to stain everything red, and it looks very dark. Honestly, this episode felt as though Naruto meets The Walking Dead, because everybody's under this genjutsu and they're getting stabbed and shit like that, and they're like, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Am I looking at Naruto Walking Dead, Shippuden the Dead? Like, what's going on here? And I love that the first half of this episode was actually showcasing Naruto, Hinata, and the rest of, the Konoha people. And then the second half was focused on Sasuke, because initially I thought that we weren't even going to see any of our favorite characters, or not our favorite characters, but, any of the other characters aside from, like, Sasuke, because, again, this is adapting the Sasuke novels, so I thought this was just going to be, in general, like, all Sasuke nonstop, which I'm actually really excited it's not, because don't get me wrong, Sasuke, whatever, it's not that I hate him or dislike him, it's just that I want to see some of the other characters as well, especially this is a time period that is really unexplored, especially like in the anime and stuff like that. We only had that movie, so the fact that we're getting to explore it, I was really happy actually that they put that first half of Naruto, Hinata, Ino, Sakura, Kakashi is like, yeah, I'm glad that they did that. I don't know if that's a difference from the novels, to be honest with you, I'm not sure, but if that was Studio Peria adding extra bits, good shit there. And just seeing them all work together, Hinata and stuff like that, I know nobody fucking missed that one where Hinata was like, I'll work with you. Like, you can already see the little bit of flirting that they're adding in there, the foreshadowing that eventually they're gonna get together in the last and stuff like that, which hopefully they don't do a readaptation of the last in the anime, which you never know at this point with all the readaptation stuff going on, but you definitely see the subtle hints of like Hinata's working her way to eventually Naruto pulling down her pants and sticking, yeah, you get what I'm saying. Well, speaking of relationships, Naruto and Sakura's relationship ain't changed much. It's still the same shit of Sakura hitting him over dumb shit. Is like, I thought that would have changed, but I think that's going to be a lifetime thing with them. Even when he's Hokage, I think she's still going to do dumb shit. Like, I don't really remember in the Boruto movie if she actually like hit him or anything like that, but that's something. Their relationship was definitely defined of more so like a brotherly, sisterly one, even though there were certain points where like you could tell like Naruto did like her or whatever. He had a crush and stuff like that, and the last tried to define it as, oh, he just wanted to get her because Sasuke essentially had her and stuff like that. So I mean, it's episodes like this that showcase that even years later it's still kind of that same brotherly, sisterly stuff. So it's not that romantic like the Naruto Saku shippers wanted it to be to begin with. It's like this episode showcase like they're still fucking palling around. I did not expect though for them to call Sasuke back to the Leaf so soon, which I mean, I guess he is a part of the Leaf and he only left as far as like they're allowing him to journey off and stuff like that. But the fact that they already called him, I'm kind of curious, is he actually going to come back? How many times did Sasuke actually come back to the Leaf since he left Konoha at the end of Naruto? Because I assumed that he didn't come back for a really long period of time, and then maybe he came back and one night Sakura was like, you want to see these? And he was like, see what? I just see like a flat board. Like, what are you talking about? No, I'm kidding, but like I assumed that at some given point he had to come maybe like once or twice, which wrong choice of words. He returned to the leaf once or twice, and that's how the whole thing happened with him and Sakura hooking up and eventually, of course, banging their brains out to create Sarada Uchiha. And another thing to note, that this is the first time since original Naruto that we actually see Sasuke doing, well, chronologically anyway, some good deeds, because in this one you see he's trying to help out that village and stuff like that. I mean, this is all new territory for Sasuke again since the original Naruto, and it's still keeping Sasuke intact as far as his character. It doesn't deviate as far as like him being like, oh gee golly, I'm gonna help you guys, do you want a hug as well? As like, it's not going that far, but essentially this is a return to who Sasuke was before all that happened in the end of Naruto and all of Shippuden and shit like that. This is who he used to be, and I'm glad that even though they did have like one flashback in this one with the whole ending of the Naruto versus Sasuke fight, it wasn't heavy with that. It wasn't getting more flashbacks to like Itachi and shit like that. I was like, oh, thank God we dodged a bullet with that one. Even though there was mentions and shit in that little flashback, ultimately it wasn't being flashback heavy, because I think we're more than satisfied with knowing everything we know. It's like, don't do it, Period, please. We've had enough. We get it. But yeah, seeing him doing some good deeds and shit like that showcases Sasuke's character has truly evolved. He's truly developed, and he's truly working now to be a decent person, going and helping a random fucking village. And then we start getting into the plot of the story, and to be honest with you, as sad as it sounds, is like the second half when Sasuke is invading the village, or passing by the village and helping out. That's where it started to feel a little bit like it wasn't until maybe the very end when we got a little bit more of the secrets revealed and shit like that it started to be interesting. But seeing those characters, honestly, some of them just feel like straight up, oh, these are filler characters, the same type of designs that they use for filler and shit like that. I wish they would add Kishimoto, even if it just come in to design these characters so that they look more like, oh, they could be real characters, because honestly, it definitely felt as though I was watching a little bit of filler when it got to that point. Maybe it was the first half, the fact that I was like, oh, shocked and surprised to see all the character changes and them and their the last outfits, and it was kind of interesting at first seeing them like Walking Dead type of fights and shit like that. But when it got to the second half, it started to feel like this could be very, very good, because honestly the tone of this episode was very dark. It could end up being very, very good, but it could also sink very, very quick depending on how they do it, because again, it had like a filler feeling to it, like, oh gosh, this could be so boring and so fillerish. But it also feels like with the dark tone that they had with like these people bleeding and all this crazy shit looking like zombies, like this could be some awesome shit if they do it right. And I mean, thankfully we have source material from the novels and shit like that could guide them to something decent or whatever. But it's just kind of like the ball is in Period's court on how good they want to do this stuff. Honestly, it's like they could add some decent extra filler bits and ultimately make this a decent amount of episodes and a decent arc or whatever, but they could totally just take this shit and go, oh, we're making filler garbage. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Yeah, I don't know. I turned Studio Period into Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Why not? And yeah, we see these village of Robin Hoods, and again, it's like the plot as far as like these villains and shit, they don't seem like they're too much. I mean, it was in the end a little bit more built up, like holy shit, because of Sasuke, he has the Rinnegan and Sharingan, and he was close to Naruto's power and shit like that. Like, he's pretty much one of the strongest people in this planet at this point, you know what I'm saying? So if he was like shocked and surprised and devastated when he went into that guy's mind and found out more about the Lightning Gang and shit like that and what happened to them, then it's like, okay, maybe they could be a big deal. So again, that's where I'm at, where I'm like, it felt like it could go really downhill quick, but it also felt like it could be really good. Because, I mean, honestly, finding out about the Lightning Gang and they were betrayed by the village and shit like that, it felt very typical. They didn't feel like it was anything out of the ordinary, out of the box. It felt like, again, like Period could have worked this into the story themselves. So I'm kind of half and half with that bit. But as a whole, honestly, for the start of the Sasuke adaptation, for the start of this time skip of the last Naruto era and stuff like that, I felt it was a very good start. It's just kind of like nerve-wracking to know, is Period gonna mess this up? I mean, based off the preview, it looks as though we're gonna get Orochimaru, and we're gonna get Karin, Suigetsu, and Jugo, and some really interesting characters as well. So as long as they keep the cast of the characters that we know while mixing in some of the, new characters for this particular arc, the Lightning Gang and shit like that, it could be smooth sailing, especially that they're going to get answers from Orochimaru. It feels like, classic Naruto in that regard. So it's like, I'm hopeful that this could be really good, and I'm gonna say that this episode was an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10. Art and animation, very smooth, very nice setup. Could have used definitely a bit more of a dramatic entrance for the time skip, because it's like, yo, this is a new era. We should, get a little bit more focus on that. And also, it was kind of interesting to see the powers of like this Kekkei Genkai that was turning them into zombies and shit like that. And if Sasuke is afraid and kind of shocked, then maybe there's something, decent to deal with. But let me know what you guys think. How do you feel about going into the last era? Do you think that this arc could potentially be good? Any theories regarding these villains? Again, I'm not expecting too much from them, but if they're decent enough and our characters are doing interesting enough things and we're getting some development in between, maybe little more hints between Naruto and Hinata, maybe Sasuke and Sakura getting more hints into their relationship as well, it could very well be good, right? Your overall thoughts of the episode? Are you just hype in general? Like for me, I feel as though, yay, I can finally be revitalized by my Naruto fandom again, because between the Boruto manga being a recap and Shippuden being in those one-off fillers and then taking 2 weeks off is like the return of some good stuff I could watch for the Naruto anime. But that's all after this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.